welcome back. So I know the question I get a lot asked is, how am I going to pay for this house? How can I afford to buy a house? And today I kind of want to put your mind at ease and go over some costs that you as a buyer might incur in the process of finding your home. So a couple of things I want to touch on. The first is the cost that you bring to the table. Earnest money. Earnest money is generally 1% of the purchase price of the home, and that actually goes towards your down payment. It's not separate and it doesn't go against you in any other way. It's 1%, and you only put that down after you have an accepted offer. So it's not something that you need to just like go see the house and quickly write a check. So we have 5 business days to do that here in Oregon, so that's important to know. Another fee that as a buyer you will incur are inspection fees. And generally it's from about $425 up, and it depends on the square footage of the home. So if you're in a condo, you know, it may even be a little bit less than that. But we can certainly provide you with people that do inspections, or you can bring whoever you want to do the inspection yourself. That's important to know. There's a couple of other extra inspections that are, they're not mandatory by any means, but one of them is radon and one of them is sewer scope, and we would go into that in a later video. But that's something to keep in mind. The next cost as a buyer is going to be your appraisal. And again, I would encourage you to check with your lender on the price of an appraisal at this particular time. It's going to be upwards of $700. So, be thinking ahead, and that's something that your lender orders after we get through the inspection period. So that's something to keep in mind. And finally, it's your closing costs. And closing costs they vary. And sometimes we can ask the seller to pay for a portion of those closing costs. Of course, that can potentially make you look a little weaker in an offer, but there are some ways around that. We could potentially go up in the asking price and then ask for the closing costs and get the seller what they want to net for that property. That's just a little trick there. But those are the costs as a buyer that you're going to incur up front. So you need to be prepared and willing and have that money in savings. Really, another important question that I get is, how can I afford you as my real estate agent? And the best news about that is that as a buyer's agent, my fees come from the seller. And so I represent you solely in the transaction, your best interests, making sure you get the best deal and protecting your money that you're putting down, and making sure we can get that back in the event that something happens. But my fees come from the seller, so that's really important for everyone to know. And I will go to bat for you any way that I can. Transactions can be tough, and there's a lot of things that come up in a transaction, and it is important to have a knowledgeable real estate agent on your side that is walking you through this process and guiding you through some of the land mines that come up. So please stay tuned next for our video. We're going to be talking about who's involved in the transaction and how we can get this to a successful close. So stay tuned and have a great day.